It was a beast so vicious and cunning that people had no choice but to speculate that it was a shape-shifting sorcerer who had come to terrorize them. Stretching 3.2 meters in total length, 1.2 meters tall at the shoulder, and with an estimated weight of 249 kilograms, the man-eater of Mfuwe, as the lion was later dubbed, feared no man, beast, or rifle. It spent months terrorizing the village of Mfuwe and its surroundings until it finally met its end at the nose of a gun. This is the terrifying story of the deadly lion known as the man-eater of Mfuwe. Welcome to Final Affliction. Mfuwe is a small village in the eastern province of Zambia. Known as a gateway to South Luangwa National Park today, Mfuwe is a popular tourist hotspot and wildlife conservation area. Its most notable attractions include safari tours, camping sites, and lodges where patrons can get up close and personal with elephants. However, our story takes place in the 90s when Mfuwe was not as tourist-friendly as it is today. In the hot summer of 1991, two boys were playing in the plains after sundown. They were supposed to have been back in the village before the big orange sun sank on the horizon, but they were enjoying their game so much that they lost track of time. As the sun set, there was no point in playing in the darkness, so they began their long walk home, hoping their parents would understand and excuse their tardiness. As they walked, they talked about their adventures that day and made plans to hang out again soon. Little did they know that they were being stalked by a deadly predator who was hiding in the tall savanna grass, waiting patiently for the right time to strike. As the boys got to a point where the road split into two, a great lion suddenly sprung out and knocked one of the boys to the ground before they even had a chance to blink. The lion wasted no time in biting the boy's neck and almost immediately rendering him quiet and subdued. The boy was dead in just a few short seconds. Shocked and panicked at the sight of seeing his friend murdered, the second boy ran for help. He stumbled through the dark, moving as fast as his legs would take him, and after breathlessly running for quite a distance, he found some game rangers who helped him call the authorities. The game rangers rushed to the attack scene, firearms drawn, but it was too late. The lion was gone, and all that remained of the dead boy were tattered bits of his clothing, parts of his chewed-up skull, and fragments of bone. That young boy was the man-eater's first victim and the beginning of its reign of terror. About 30 days after the boy's life had been gruesomely cut short, a woman was walking around the outskirts of the village gathering supplies for dinner. She needed some herbs and firewood, and it wasn't uncommon for her to get these things at the edge of the village. When she had finished, she walked back home, set her items down, and began her usual evening routine. The woman did not know that she had an unwanted visitor who had been following her carefully home. The giant lion stalked up to her front door, knocked it down, and entered her home. Before the woman could register what was going on, the lion pounced on her. It bit and clawed at her, trying to quickly subdue her just like it had done to the boy. Valiantly, the woman tried to fight back. She struggled desperately to get the lion off of her, but it had the size and surprise advantage, and soon her injuries were too significant for her to do anything but lie helplessly as the lion took her life. The lion left once it was done with her, and upon discovering the harrowing scenes, authorities searched the bushes around the house for clues as to where it had gone. They did not find the lion, but they did find the woman's remains. Her head and arms lay haphazardly in the bushes. The lion had eaten everything else. Her remains were later buried, but the lion was far from done hunting. The very next night, a young man and his friends planned to sneak out of their homes and meet up. Like many teenagers, they simply planned on messing around and having fun while the village slept. As one of the young men walked through the darkness on his way to the meeting point, he was jumped by the lion right in front of the game ranger's office. He was immediately knocked to the ground, and the lion proceeded in its usual fashion, biting and clawing him around his head and neck. Overhearing the attack, the game ranger on duty jumped to action and fired his rifle in the air. Startled, the lion bolted and disappeared into the wild grass once again, leaving the young man bleeding on the ground. He was taken to the hospital almost immediately, but he had lost a lot of blood from the severe lacerations the lion had left on his head and neck. The man-eater did not get to feast that night, but the exhausted and injured young man succumbed to his injuries. The community had lost another person to the vicious lion. Unfortunately, the story doesn't end there. Over the next few weeks, 3 more people died at the paws of the lion. One was a village woman the lion murdered on her porch just outside her door in broad daylight. As usual, the lion lay low in the grass, waiting for a moment when it felt confident enough to strike. As the local group of game rangers approached the woman to warn her about the attacks, the lion ambushed her right before their eyes. She didn't have a moment to react, and the rangers could not respond in time. One of them quickly fired a shot in the air and another at the beast, but the damage had already been done. The lion had inflicted fatal wounds on the woman, and there was nothing the game rangers could do to help. She died before she could make it to the hospital. So far, the man-eater of Mfuwe had claimed the lives of 6 victims, and both the villagers and authorities were at a loss on how to take down this murderous beast. As female lions are the primary hunters of the pride, the authorities took short hunting trips to cut the local lion pride down by a few individuals. In August 1991, they randomly chose a lioness from the pride and shot her dead, but the attacks continued. The man-eater's last victim was a woman named Jesline from the Luangwa Valley village of Ngozo. Jesline had been on the edge ever since she'd heard of the attacks. No one knew where the lion would strike next or if it would strike next, and it was disturbing to think that such a beast could still be on the loose. She had just bagged her laundry to take down to the river the next day for washing, and with that plan in mind, she laid down in bed and went to sleep. While she slept, the man-eater broke through her door and dragged her from her bed with its teeth and claws. Jesline screamed in pain and terror, shouting for help as the lion carted her off into the bush. The lion devoured her body and bolted off, frightening the villagers. With each attack, the lion had become more confident in its skills and cunning. This time, it didn't stop at just eating Jesline. By the afternoon of the next day, the lion was back. The villagers watched in terror as the giant lion swaggered confidently through the village and into Jesline's hut. It remained inside for a few minutes before it strutted right back out, carrying her bag of dirty laundry in its mouth. For some reason, the lion took her dirty laundry with it into the bush, likely because it smelled like its last meal, or maybe it wanted a trophy for its kill. Peering out the windows, her neighbors banged their pots and pans in an effort to scare the lion off, but their actions only seemed to encourage it. The predator calmly carried the bag to the center of the village and set it down. Then it let out a mighty roar, looking around at the huts as if daring someone, anyone, to come out and defy it. Of course, no one would dare, and the lion, satisfied, picked the bag up again and strutted off into the bush. Through the following days, the lion was seen playing with the laundry bag like a house cat with a ball of yarn. It would swat at the bag, pounce on it, chew it, and roll it around. The villagers could hardly believe what they were seeing. It was at this point that they deduced that the beast indeed could not have been an ordinary lion. No, the man-eater of Mfuwe was a demon, and by playing with the bag, it was casting evil spells. Better still, they decided a sorcerer had changed into a lion to terrorize them. The lion's murderous spree was so disruptive and its actions so disturbing that professional hunters visiting the area decided to see what they could do to get rid of the predator. The first hunter to attempt dispatching the lion was a Japanese bounty hunter who specialized as a hired hitman. The bounty hunter set traps all over the area and pursued the lion for weeks, but ultimately ended up unsuccessful. It seemed that the cunning lion was toying with them like it knew when they were watching and when they weren't. Adrian Carr, a local safari hunter, tried his luck next. Along with setting traps like the first hunter, Adrian also set up bait and a blind made of paper bags to try and kill the lion. He hung a carcass about 10 feet off the ground from a tree, then hid behind the blind a short distance away. One night while waiting, Adrian heard the lion's footfalls as it approached the bait. He could hear the beast chewing, and he decided to let it eat for a while before putting a bullet in it. After about 20 minutes, Adrian flipped on the spotlight and could clearly see the giant lion standing on its hind legs as it chewed on the carcass. He aimed his rifle at the lion, but the presence of the light sent the lion running into the nearby cover of darkness. Like the previous bounty hunter, Adrian failed to end the lion's reign of terror. The man-eater of Mfuwe finally met its deserved end when Wayne Hosek stepped into the scene. Wayne was a professional hunter from California, and he'd heard about the beast while visiting the area on a private hunting trip. Coincidentally, his hunting party had come across the lion's toy, Jesline's laundry bag, in a dry riverbed. Wayne and fellow hunter Charles Bukes decided to turn the predator into prey. They set a trap consisting of the laundry bag and a large stash of hippo meat. They set up a hide nearby and lay low and wait for the lion. It wasn't an easy hunt. The men waited patiently for almost 3 weeks in the hide, but it was like the lion knew they were there and wanted to play. It moved as it pleased, often circling the bait without seeming particularly interested. The hunters moved the side of their hide several times in an attempt to get a jump on the lion, but while moving it, the stealthy lion would slip under their noses and steal the bait, so they'd have to set fresh bait out and try again. This game of cat and mouse, or more accurately large cat and hunters, went on for weeks. The lion was so elusive that Hosek almost began to believe that it was a demon too. That was until he realized that the man-eater exploited the times they moved locations to get under their noses. The hunters decided to throw a feint. They pretended like they were moving so that the lion would let its guard down. They built a blind, left a bait, and hid elsewhere, acting like they were going about business as usual. It worked. The lion approached the abandoned bait, moving confidently. When it got to the open blind, it turned around and snarled. The lion had realized a little too late that it had been tricked. He began to rush towards the hunter's real location, but Hosek was ready. He raised his rifle, aimed, and shot. Bang. The bullet left the gun and landed right in the lion's left shoulder, causing it to crumple into an angry mass of fur and claws. The hunters wasted no time in killing the enormous lion. Its reign of terror had gone on far too long, and now it was finally over. The man-eater of Mfuwe was dead. Upon its death, the people swarmed out of the village to spit at the animal's corpse and beat it with sticks. The demon was finally gone, and they were not going to pass up an opportunity to celebrate. Local shamans did rituals over its body to make sure that its supposed supernatural powers were banished once and for all. The powerful shape-shifting sorcerer was dead, and they had to ensure it never cast another spell. The man-eater of Mfuwe was eventually stuffed and displayed at the Field Museum in Chicago, along with its favorite toy, Jesline's laundry sack. The maneless male lion remains there on display to this day. Wayne Hosek, the man who killed the man-eater, would go on to write about it in his 2009 memoir, The Man-Eater of Mfuwe. All in all, although the total body count for the lion is relatively low for such a feared beast, it has become a local legend, a boogeyman for kids' bedtime stories to warn them about the dangers of playing too late and not looking over their shoulders for stalkers. As majestic as lions are, they are still deadly predators, and a lion on the loose usually spells disaster for any of those who cross its path, its teeth biting you as you cry out in pain before ultimately meeting your final affliction.